Yeah, it's your boy Danny J. Quick, and I'm here with Kyron Silva. And we want to thank you for joining the Four Tales podcast.
I want to know what it is Quick is trying to say.
We're about to talk some comics and get a little bit controversial. Everything from indie books to movie to level commercial. With no rehearsals when we converse to coerce you. And then we do the quick takes and try to get to the personal. So join us and get your comic book a few more sales once a week wherever you pod. It's Four Tales. Once a week wherever you pod. It's Four Tales.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, towards comics in collaboration with, we'll get back to that. Respectfully brings to you the 140th episode of the Four Tales podcast. I am your host, Kyron Silva from Tours Comics. Across this way is the hairy fictioner of Afro Avenger, Kevin, not Danny Chapman. And together we are your two award. Wait, have you ever won an award for any of your books?
Let's see. Nah, man,
Okay,
it's all pride.
Okay, so we're not your two award-winning blurred comic creators, but we are here to help you find your next favorite comic. We are live on your AIDS the Geekdom network by Facebook, Twitter. Dang, I always say Twitter, and we're not live on Twitter. Facebook, Instagram, Kick, Twitch, and YouTube. So if you're listening and watching us live, thank you for your support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and review this podcast because all your positive reviews, interactions help us reach a bigger audience. Kevin, not Danny Chapman. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, brothers. And by the way, let me Kyron did a wonderful intro. Oh yeah.
I always do.
Oh yeah. First of all, let me bring this up. Show you I haven't been watching in a while because or I catch clips here and there. I did not know Danny was rapping on the intro now. That's new to me. I need Danny to cut me a track. And because he was just this the Four Tail Pie. I said, okay, what's going on? Who is this? All right.
Danny's got some abilities.
Listen, he from TikTok to rapping. I see. Y'all know who it is. It is Kevin Chapman. This ain't the Four Tales podcast no more because Danny not here. This is two black dudes with glasses. We are back, officially in return. Yeah, I told you, Javon, if you're watching, I'm back. This is my time to shine. Oh, this is about to be a wonderful hour for me. Oh, yes. Back on the net. Who'd have thought? Let's go.
All right, so
how you doing, Kyron?
For our listening audience, Danny J. Quick is not here today. He had a family situation he had to deal with. I have a guest co-host in the name of Kevin Chapman. For anyone that's not familiar, like me, Tony Clapper, I think Tony Clapper might not be familiar with you, but give us a brief rundown of who you are calmly, Mr. Chapman, and what you work on. And Tony, I will check my inbox after the show.
Yes, Tony is familiar with me. His new characters that he's showing in 5-star, I help design. I am Kevin Chapman, the creator, artist, and writer of the 11-issue running Afro Avenger issue 12. Oh yeah, we definitely go back. Coming sooner rather than later. And I've been on this show how many times, Kyron? Just so just check my records. Like,
I gotta go back and look at that. It's been, you were actually, if I'm not mistaken, you were one of our top 5 guests at the time. Last time I looked, so
yeah,
I have to go back and check the numbers on that.
Yeah, I was, man. I was, but it's good to be here, man. In a hosting capacity, I'm gonna keep my usual antics down to 10.5. So, out of 10. So
wait, at 10, is it 8 or a 10? Which one is it?
It's a 10.5 out of 10. I'm gonna keep my antics down to a 10.5 out of 10.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm gonna keep professional though.
Why? Danny never does.
Keep professional. What up, Brad?
Brad Arnie in the chat. Just to let you guys know, there is 3 more days left for the Beam Awards. Nominations started October 1st. But you guys have up until November 3rd, which is this coming. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, November 3rd is the last day. So that's this coming Sunday. So if you want to put in your nominations, you can. Then starting November 4th, we're going to start voting for the top 5. From there, like we mentioned before, those top 5 vote getters will be placed in front of our judges to determine who the winners are, and we will announce those at the end of November. So go to fourtailspodcast.com and get your vote in. What?
So can you enter a name that's probably not on the registration?
Yeah.
The vote.
As the only requirements are that is the person that you're nominating has to have had work created this year. Actually, from November 1st, 2023 to November 1st, 2024. They've had to have some work produced in a physical or webcomic form. That's the only really requirement. So if you maybe made a webcomic, like my favorite, Beware a Toddler, you can nominate.
Okay. All right. Cool.
All right. Yeah. So we've used up enough of our time trying to get to know you. We have an amazing guest here that we need to get. We need to get to know a little bit more. His name is Eddie Lema, creator and writer and artist, if I'm not mistaken, of End of Zed. Is that correct?
Yes, End of Zed. Yes, that's my
Okay.
background. I'm a graffiti artist, and a lot of the conceptual, especially in particular the character design, I created all of that. But I need a sequential artist because I'm certainly a good artist, but not good enough to be a sequential artist. So I had to hire a team for that one.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So
we got a little bit.
Where did? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead and start off.
my bad. So, like, how did you like transfer doing graffiti art to like that? Like, was it something that you always was into? Was like graffiti art was like just something that you always did, and then like you just transitioned into like doing comic book art, or was it just art all in general?
Well, just art in general. I mean, art really saved my life. I think all of us got these things in life that saved us. Certainly, art was for me, and particularly graffiti art, because I live in the suburb of New York, and so going to see my stepdad in the city downtown in the '80s, really getting exposure for the first time to graffiti, really made such an incredible impact on me. And particularly the the graffiti art that you saw on the trains. I mean, that changed everything for me. I can remember just like being like 9 or 10 years old and looking at these pieces and having such an instant connection. I'm like, this is speaking to me like a good song or, something that inspires you. And I knew since then, my art skills just started getting honed in and really being known as the artist of the community and, winning artist of the year for your school and then going to an art school afterwards. I knew that art was something that was going to save me. And certainly graffiti is a big part of it. I love the aesthetic. I love the colors, and I certainly try to have a lot of that impact within my artwork.
Nice. Now let's talk about your book, End of Zed. You gave us a 6-page preview of it, and I'll be honest, it had a little bit of Wally meets The Rundown.
Okay, good one. You know what the actual calling? You know what they're calling it, Kyron? They're calling it Wild Robot Meets the Warriors. I don't know if you remember the movie The Warriors, right? So the Wild Robot Meets the Warriors, and really that Warriors is a big, significant influence on this. So yeah, you're right. You're there, Kyron. I like that one too.
All right. So what can people expect from this book that's currently now on Kickstarter? You're about halfway funded.
Yes.
I looked back at
halfway. Yep.
Yep. So what can people expect with this book?
Well, it's an amazing story, first and foremost. It's been a story that's been in the works for at least 2 years. I spent the whole year. I actually created a movie script for it. That's how I first started it. Then after the movie script, I said, well, what am I going to do with this? Is it going to be a movie? It's going to be an animation? And a friend of mine who's actually the editor, he says, this would really lend well to a comic book. It's very visual. It's very graphical. I think we should do it into a comic book. And so we spent the whole year, 1 year writing the screenplay, and the other year converting it into a comic script, and then of course finding the artist and actually making it into the comic book you see. So End of Zed is really, it's a fish out of water story. It's a story about a robot who at the time doesn't know, but his name is Zed, and he lands in the South Bronx in 1982. And the South Bronx in 82 was one of probably the most tumultuous time in the city's history in New York. Not only did it see the beginning of the birth of the crack epidemic, but it also saw the positive side of the birth of hip hop, which, as you know, ushered in, new music, new art, new fashion. So this is his backdrop. He lands with no memory. He's badly damaged, and he has to navigate through this. And ultimately, he'll find out that there's an origin story he has here, but he'll also find out what his purpose is. So, they tell you to write what you know, and certainly a lot of him is within me in this story. As I was telling you before, certainly art was a big part of my life. And in his case, he's damaged. He has like no sight. He's got no hearing, basically, and he's got no memory. So when he hits one example, when he hears hip hop music for the first time, when he hears of a block party, that's the first time he hears the music, and these are the elements that heal him. And so it's a lot about healing and a lot about programming. So yeah, it's an amazing story. And
I'm
great artwork.
assuming that section you're talking about when he's first listening to hip hop is this right here that we're looking at.
That's actually, well, some of the top one there, that's a flashback that he has during this, all of this. And then that's the DJ. So it's an interesting story. It's on page 6. I didn't give you part of the preview. But when he, something happens where he's badly injured, and he looks across the courtyard, and he sees these bright lights pop up. And he has no idea what it is. So when he looks closer, he sees a silhouette of a man that it looks like he's got a helmet on like his. And so he says to himself, okay, I know what I'm here for. I'm here to rescue this dude. I'm here to rescue this fellow robot and get the hell out of here. But as he gets closer, it's not a fellow robot. It's actually a DJ with an afro whose afro is the size of his helmet. And so he sits back and he starts listening, and he ends up finding out this is actually a block party. And the DJ sets off the block party. And yes, he starts to learn real quick about the power of music and how it heals him.
Dig it.
I see from the preview pages I got, first and foremost, like the art stand out tremendously. Like I love the art. My vibe I kind of got from it was like Johnny Five in the Bronx from Short Circuit.
Yes,
and that's and like that was like the first like kind of vibe I got from it, and it gave me real. Was like what inspirations kind of went into Zed? Like what was some of the things that kind of like helped build out Zed? Kyron, I already know what you're shaking your head at. I don't know what that is.
I was like, wait, what are you doing? My honey glazed honey bun? What? For $50?
I don't know what that is.
$50 Mickey Holla? What?
But back to the scheduled program, please. What was some of the things that inspired to put into the character Zed himself? Like, what were some of the things that kind of like led up to like that creation?
Yeah, well, I mean, growing up in the 80s and certainly being a Star Wars baby, Star Wars had a super big impact on my life in terms of sci-fi, and in particularly robots. I think there's a connection with robots I've always had, from R2-D2, C-3PO, and all the way down. And so I always knew that, like, it's interesting that, I always thought as a kid, for example, what would an alien do if they spent the day with me? What would they ask? And that's exactly what's in the story. When he lands, the only thing that he has working for him is like a little CPU that's in his head. And when he looks at something, it kind of defines what it is. So the first thing he sees is this guy who's really like a crack addict, and it's such a negative view. And that's his first human he ever sees. So it goes over, his computer goes over and says, this is a human. And they're the dominant species of this planet. They make art, they make this. And that's his perception of what a human is. And then what goes down next, he sees a crack deal. And so it puts a focus on the money and goes, this is currency. This is what people use on this planet, for trading and resources. And then it goes on to the crack veil, and the computer ends up telling him, well, this is what humans use to get high, to get themselves to a higher state. And so now he sits back and goes, oh my gosh, how could a human do that to another human? How could they sell this? So right off the bat, he's getting a lot of perceptions of what this world is based on, what this computer tells him. So I really wanted to dig into that too, in terms of programming. I wanted us to think about, who was it that programmed us, right? When we were little kids, our parents, we looked out through the lens of our parents. They told us what was bad, what was good, and so forth. And then as we got older, certainly the media took over. The media told you what was good and what was bad. But ultimately, at some point in our life, we have to kind of come to our own conclusions of what we're seeing, of what is good and what is bad. And so I definitely wanted to explore that with the End of Zed. He's got a lot of these things coming his way, a lot of things he sees on face value. He gets a lot of things that he gets from the computer that tells him what he sees. But ultimately, what is it that he really sees, both in the negative and in the positive? So it's really great in terms of the story, because that's going to help with the story arc as we continue going on. As you see, he's going to have to make some decisions where, some humans' lives are at hand. and we're going to see firsthand how he feels about humans and Earth, for example. So it's pretty deep. It's very historical as well. A lot about New York City history. I love New York. I know we were talking earlier about sports and things like that. I can't express how deep my love for is for New York City culture and everything. So there's a lot with that as well too.
Now this is issue 1. How many issues do you have planned for this series?
There'll be 4. So just like the Warriors. And by the way, did you guys see the Warriors?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, who didn't, right? Yeah. So it's actually going to be just like the Warriors, where it takes place all in one night. So these 4 episodes will take place all in one night, and so yes, 4.
So with the title of End of Zed, is it safe to assume, without giving away too many spoilers, that by issue
Sure.
4, Zed is no longer with us?
No, I think End of Zed is really perfectly the theme of the story. And what does that mean? If you notice on the cover, you see him running, and that's really what this is. This is a run for him. He's really running for his existence of not only finding out who he is, but what his purpose is on Earth. So End of Zed represents that. Is this the end of Zed? Every move that he makes, when he lands, just like the Warriors, right? He's got a specific amount of time to reach before he gets from one place to another. So that time ticking, him being injured and with no memory, there's a lot of things going against him. So we'll see what happens to him. But very exciting first episode, a very, very exciting first issue. You really get to see, not only his environment, but really how Zed is starting to think about this place that he just landed in.
Nice.
So what will happen after issue 4? Is there a continuance? Do you feel yourself, are you going to be focusing more back onto the script to try to turn it into a film? Will we ever see Zed again after 4? What is the goal or the movement or just the future hold for Zed himself after issue 4?
Great question, Kev. Really appreciate that. Yeah, I think what happens is, I think this is where the audience kind of shows me where they are in the story. I know you guys run a lot of IPs, a lot of vehicles, and certainly, and I could ask you guys this, which I want to ask you, that when you first started, right? When like Ace Blade, came out, for example, and where it is now, like how much of a change was it in terms of where you thought the vision would go, or even an Afro Avenger, right? Like where you are now, because I think you said it was up to 8 issues, right?
11,
did you know 11? Oh my gosh! Did you know A, that it would reach 11 issues, and B, did you think that in issue 1 it would go that way? So, and I'm assuming now, before you answer, because I certainly want to hear this, but I think a lot of it gets dictated what your audience tells you. But please tell me.
For Afro Avenger particularly, I think I always knew my goal was to never be the afterthought that happens in independent comics a lot, where you get introduced to a person after like the first 2 issues and then like they kind of like disappear. Right. So I knew for a fact I wanted to continue it, and then my audience and then my fan base kind of grew beyond what I had dreamt for myself to a certain extent. So it just drove me to always continue the story. And then as I continued, I knew for a fact that I wanted to Eric Larson this thing out and continue doing as many Afro Avengers as I can, and and raise my baby essentially. Just make sure he's grown and his character is developed through my eyes and through my art.
Cool.
That's wonderful, dude.
Yep.
Now, you did mention that for End of Zed, you're not doing the artwork on it, but you do have an art background.
Yes.
Is there a possibility maybe down the line you might throw in some artwork here and there for it?
Yeah, what I did was, so every year I start a new project, and on the project, what I do is I come up with something at the beginning of the year, and I say, you know what, I'm going to dedicate my whole year to this. And at the end of the year, I'm going to see how I did, and I'm going to have a metric for it. So one year, for example, I said, I'm going to take all my graffiti art and I'm going to create it into digital art. I'm going to use Adobe Illustrator, and I'm going to make it all this traditional art. And I'm going to open up a Instagram account. I've never done that before. So I opened up ZNK238 on Instagram. And my goal is to reach 1,000 organic followers. Once I reach that, I know I accomplished things. So January comes and I start and I make the website. I make the account. And what an amazing experience. Not only meeting all the writers, meeting all the graffiti people, but helping people along the way to get their works vectorized and digitized. And I went way over 1,000 by the end of the first year, and it felt great. And within that first year, I actually created the comic, which at this point was called ZNK 238, not Zed. And what it was, I drew the first couple of panels of it. So you see it there. You'll see my my artistic work, which isn't bad. Listen, it has impact to it, but certainly I knew how much work I put into this, and particularly with the script, that I needed a good sequential artist, and thank goodness I did. And also needed someone too that was good with colors, because like I told you guys, this takes place all in one night, so I had to be real sensitive that the colorist was really good with colors, and particularly at night. You know, as you know, colors look different at night, and you can emphasize colors when you're there in shadows at night, as opposed to if there's something shiny at night. So those are the things that help me. But this was an amazing experience. I appreciate it. Yeah, and there goes some of Zed, how we first look like. Yep.
Very nice.
Yep.
Now, how much of the change from ZNK did you have input on to becoming Zed, or was that mostly a lot of just working with your artist, or how much was just you hands on?
Yeah, well, Kyron, you probably know better than anyone. As an artist, that it's very hard for you to let go. When you create something, and especially when it's personal, it's very hard for you to kind of let go of what you're designing. So, for his character design, for example, it took me about 4 months to do, and I knew exactly how he had to look like. He needed to have a big head. He needed to be a robot that looks as though he had some history here. So he couldn't come down looking like Voltron or one of the Transformers. He needed to be very simple, right? And he also needed that little ball on his head, like his little remote control unit thing, which is very synonymous with like robots from like the 40s and the 50s. Because in the story you're gonna find out that this dude had a really big connection, and also he had to have like a really big head and a small body, kind of toddler like, because I wanted you to feel as the reader that he's in trouble, that like a kid, he's lost and he's in danger. So all of those things I needed to hit on the mark. And so that was the hard part, is trying to deal with an artist who would be willing, A, to work with me, and B, to know that my vision is concrete, and it needed to be that way. And thank goodness I did. I found two amazing artists that did.
Now,
That's the highlight of my life there. Oh,
yeah,
man.
I do need to bring this up, because I saw this when I was looking at your information. I was like, oh wow, he's just showing off right now.
Yes. Oh my God. No, I listen truthfully, and I actually told DMC this, that like, if this comic goes nowhere, just the fact that I had this moment with you, I don't really need anything else, because he was something else growing up. I can't I can't explain his impact, especially Run DMC, in terms of my area, in the terms I grew up. He was everything, and it wasn't like he had social media back then either. A star was really a star, like now. Please, you see a star, you can see a star, on a toilet every day, or ordering breakfast every day if you wanted to, right? Here, back then, when you saw them, boy, it had a tremendous impact. So meeting him,
or
was
you could
amazing.
have Kevin doing massages for you for $50, and apparently he's really good at that. So
First and foremost, I want the record to show I don't know who the hell Alfredo Wigglesworth is. Obviously, that's a alias. And second and foremost, I'm charging more than $50 for a body, bro. I tell you that, like, I don't like that ain't happening. But to get back to the show and get to my question, Eddie, I wanted to know, like, when you were looking, that glazed honey buns what threw me off. I'm like, excuse me. I'm like, excuse me, sir, whoever you are. But man,
your friends are crazy, yeah.
Boy, they I don't know that, man. I don't know what that is. But that's what make it worse. Kyron, bruh, I will kick you.
What?
Kick your teeth if you don't change my name back. I will kick your old teeth if you don't change my name back. Bruh.
That's your male stripper name now, man. Your male stripper name is Glazed Honey Bun.
Nah, brother. No, it ain't.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna help you.
What was your question?
But no. Thank you. Real brown, whatever, man. You know what? Can't even be black. Can't be black. But no, I guess my question was, when you were looking for an artist, was you looking for an artist that captured your vision for Zed, or was you looking for your artist that was going to be able to capture the era? Because I know the 80s, especially at that time, with the just with the art, the graffiti, the fashion, just the birth of just a lot of things that we still kind of do to this day, was like very important and poignant.
Mhm.
What was that process like of finding somebody to even do Zed?
No, that's a great question, Kev. With me, like I mentioned before, one, I knew I had to find someone that had the patience to work with another artist. I'm not just going to hand them a comic script and say, "Okay, go at it." I actually drew every panel. I drew the angles of where it was going to come at. And since it came from a movie script, I looked at it cinematically, so it had cinematic shots in terms of what I wanted to do. But in his case, you also got to rely upon that artist and let him flourish too. That's the true power of collaboration. You got to let him come through with his ideas, and he came with some bangers, man. I tell you, there's some things, certain scenes that I never even thought of. So it's very hard to collaborate, but when you do, especially if you collaborate with the right people, it's certainly a worthwhile venture, and that's certainly something I learned. My day gig is I'm more of like an art director, and I manage thousands of projects, but I never managed anything like this. And I think a lot of it because it's personal, right?
Yeah.
It's your story. It's a lot of views on the line, so you're gonna kind of criticize things a little bit more deeper than you normally do. So,
Now, this is your first comic, correct?
correct. Yep, first comic and first Kickstarter too. First of everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is this your first time writing a script, though? Like, have you
Yes.
have any experience? So this is the first for a lot of
Correct.
you.
Actually,
First for everything.
Kyron, that's exactly. Remember I told you how I take a year to write something. I took a year to write the script. I took a year in January, and I said, okay, the metric is I'm going to have a script in my hand, and then I'll know I've made it in December. But I had to school myself, whether it's through YouTube or taking online courses, or the biggest influence was this book called Save the Cat. And it's a book teaches you about the three act story. It teaches you about story arcs and structures and things like that. And that really helped me immensely. So thank goodness for that. And that was my goal. And I had the finished piece in my hand, so I knew I did well.
I think we might have lost Kevin.
Okay.
He looks frozen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. All right, so we have a comment here sent freshly saying he's been waiting for this book since you were on a podcast together recently. I didn't know you were on a podcast with Fish.
Oh, I don't recognize Fish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. What? If you could tell me the title of his book, I could probably say. I don't know if
Fish
it was Is that Vegas Baby?
No.
Okay.
Fish has done Fish Tales. He's done.
Oh yes, Fish Tales. There you go.
Yes.
Now, no. Okay, there you go. I should have connected Fish Sleeve, Fish Tales. Okay, yeah, definitely, absolutely. Oh, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, excellent.
Oh, okay, we got Kevin back here.
Okay.
Maybe.
I'm still here. Was I froze?
Okay. Yeah.
Was I froze?
Here. I could hear him.
Am I here?
I can hear him, but he's very delayed.
Oh, okay.
Oh, what about now?
Is it delayed for you at all?
Who, me?
Slightly. Yeah, now he's good. Now he's back.
Okay.
On time, yeah.
Yeah, I got the green bars.
Yeah, he's a little off, but yeah. Not that bad.
Okay. So I thought he had a question.
No, I did.
Yeah, he's behind like 3 or 4 seconds. Yeah. Like one of those martial art movies where you talk and your voice doesn't come out till like later.
Yeah, it really is like that. So, with this being your first comic, this being your first Kickstarter, what are some of the things that you've struggled with as far as maybe getting the word out about the book?
Well, this is one thing that I don't know if you guys are hip to this or not. Both you, Kevin, and Kyron. And particularly like especially when you think about that, you guys have been on YouTube for a while. You guys have been promoting your pieces. You kind of are showing us new jacks how to do it. You guys are showing us how to promote. You guys are showing us how to create an experience. You're showing us, how to create a Kickstarter. So I am very honored in the sense that people before me has shown me kind of like how to do it. So that certainly helps. Marketing is tough though. That's certainly, that's tough for any field or any product for that matter. So, and particularly this one, right? This isn't your regular capes and tights story, right? It's a story that's pretty specific. And, certainly I got those in the hip hop world who dig it and love it and they're appreciating it. But trying to cross over to a general audience has been somewhat of a tricky thing. But it's happening. It's happening. But it's happening a little slower than I thought it would. little slower than I thought it would. So it's tough. It's a tough grind. As you can see, I'm halfway there, but still, got a couple weeks coming up. I'm a little anxious that, we got election next week coming up, and I don't think anyone's going to want to I don't think people may not want to hear about comic books during that week. So I feel as though I lost a week for that. And then, of course, you got Thanksgiving coming up, pretty soon. So I feel as though I really need to hustle to get this completed, because I'm really hoping that the campaign's successful and then we can get this thing rolling, because there's so much to do with this IP. So much to do.
Am I here?
You there? Okay. Maybe
You are
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm here too, right?
Cool.
Yes. All right.
Yeah, we all right. All right.
All right. Well,
Am I
you know
still
what?
froze?
No, you're good. You're good.
Actually, perfect timing too.
Oh, okay. I'm just we was all sitting here. My bad. Go ahead.
Well, because we don't know when you're about to talk, so we didn't want to interrupt you.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna just do this like from now. What I'm about to speak, I'm just do it.
There you go. Thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up.
Well, no, this is the perfect time though, because this is now the moment where we want to do quick takes.
It must be a bad delay.
But I think he froze again.
Okay.
All right, I might have to do quick takes on my own because he definitely looks frozen.
Mm-hmm.
You did say you've seen some of our episodes in the past, so if anyone has never heard our show before, quick takes is a rapid fire session where you're going to get 45 seconds to answer some questions originally that Kevin wrote, and he was going to deliver to you, but I don't think he'll be able to do that right now.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and do quick takes anyways.
Quick takes.
I was hoping
frozen. Oh no,
he's still frozen.
Yes.
All right. I was hoping he'd be back by now, but
yeah.
All right. I will do it then. I will definitely do it.
Okay.
All right. Let me pull up his actual questions. He did send these questions to me, so let me see here.
Okay.
And you're gonna have to bear with me because I don't usually do the quick takes.
No worries. No worries.
So it's gonna be a little weird.
Trying to navigate data questions as well as doing it. Yeah.
Wait. What is that?
Especially echoes, right?
Yeah. Hold on.
There he is.
Oh,
he's back. Kevin is back.
Can you hear us? Let me do this actually.
Yeah, if you shut up the other one, it'll probably help. Yeah.
Yeah, shut that one off. Can y'all hear me?
You're good,
Yeah.
Kev? Yep.
All right, I'm on my phone, so.
Okay. Well, we're going to do quick takes brought to you by Gemini Supplies. If you want to go to Gemini's website and get some mailers, you can get 10% off by using the code ACEBLADE. But Kevin, since you're back, we're going to do quick takes, so you can start whenever you are ready.
I don't even know my questions. Hold on. So send me the question in private so I can have it.
Oh,
right.
Man. Oh.
Yeah, see, technical difficulties, but we're going to make it work.
All right, here. How about I do this? I just put it on the screen and you can just read it then.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. All right. Can you read that?
Yes, I can.
All right.
So, Eddie, they call them quick takes, but since I'm here, we're going to call them Chaps Asks or whatever. But question number one, we're going to start you off with a little heat.
That sounds wrong.
Yeah, it does. But anyway, since you said, End of Zed is in the 80s, and 80s was the start of hip hop, my first question to you would be, which rap era do you consider is better, the 80s or the 90s?
Okay, excellent question. I guess we got to define better. More influential or which sold more, right? So I would say what was more influential, certainly the 80s, right? Everything that came from, you don't have no 90s without the 80s. So the influence of, Run DMC, even the original rappers, African Bambaataa, for example, all his beats and everything that transferred into the 90s. But then again, you got the 90s, I would say they were more influential, but the 90s certainly made their bank off it, right? The 90s, you started, especially when you got the West Coast rappers coming in play, then it just took a different complexion.
Okay. That's a good answer. That's definitely a good answer. I'll take that. I
Yes.
take that. See, my quick take's better than Dan. My questions make sense.
All right. Moving on to question 2.
So, if you were to ever have any artist on your book, who would it be? I know you probably selected a great person. You included as a great artist from the I've seen on your page. Looks very great, very well done. I love your art. But if you could pick somebody out there that's like in the realm of just fame or just untouchable or goats or whatever you want to call it, who would you have do your book and why?
Well, if you look at my variant cover, there's an artist called Harrow, all right? Originally from New York, but now he's on the West Coast. He created my graffiti variant cover, and he's already got a couple of comic books out. If there's anyone that I wish could have done it, would have been him, if not for my original artist. His aesthetic is just like you would find in the 80s graffiti hip hop scene. So absolutely, Harrow. Please look him up on Instagram. An amazing artist. Amazing artist.
Definitely gotta check them out
Yep.
because the art, like I said, looks amazing. All right, question 3, Kyrie. Why do you think Zed can beat Ace Blade?
Well, it might not happen. Not at this stage. At this stage, you can't beat him because he's damaged. He's got no memory. But where he will end up in 4, my goodness, I don't know if Ace Blade can deal with some of his powers that he has, which I can't reveal them all. But he has this one which is kind of like a sound wave that comes from his headphones, and so that'd be a good one. So. Why do I think Zed can beat Ace Blade? We're talking in a fight, right?
Oh yeah. In all out brawl, Ace Blade is like tied to the ground, no weapons, nothing. Like Zed can just haul off and like mud stomp him. Like, why do you think Zed could beat Ace Blade?
Because of his metal. There you go. Because of the properties of his robotic metal, that ultimately will be what happens at the end. We'll get him over.
Okay. We'll take that. We'll take that. Ace Blade loses by 100 to Zed. Got it. Got it.
All right, Danny.
Question number 4, Kyron. Who, if you could, cast as the voice of Zed for your Zed feature film?
Man, when I was writing him, I kept thinking for some reason James Earl Jones, right? The voice of Darth Vader, right?
Wow.
Right.
But a little bit of a younger James Earl Jones, I was thinking, But that's a good one. Who could cast the voice of him if it's not James Earl Jones? It would have to be a deep voice, but yet not too old. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one.
I can do it.
There you go.
I'll do it.
Bruh, just like that. There you go.
What was that?
That's how it feels after I got my $50 massage.
Hey, it wasn't from me. I keep telling you that. I don't know where we can count that, bro. I'm gonna have to do some taking on whoever this Alfredo Wigglesworth is. I gotta find out who that is and mud stomp him immediately. All right. Question 5, Kyrie. Danny does this show called Top 5 Live, on his other podcast of his other jobs or other things that he do on top of his other things. And, where they ask each other their 5 favorite things, top 5 from, best to worst, worst to first, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
I need you, Eddie, to give me your top 5 robot movies.
Wow. Okay. Here we go. This is going to be a good one. The one with Will Smith, AI. Was it?
iRobot?
Was that the title?
iRobot?
Yeah, iRobot. That's definitely a dope one. Star Wars, of course, you got the quintessential robots that do it all. I'll give you one, and it's not really robot-like, but it's an AI that's like a robot. You ever hear a movie called Her with Scarlett Johansson?
Yeah.
And and Joaquin Phoenix?
Yep.
That's exactly, in terms of it gives you the kind of gives you a glimpse of what the future could look like. That's definitely one of them. RoboCop. How can you not beat RoboCop, man? Especially and I remember seeing him as I'm dating myself here, seeing it in the theaters and just my mouth dropped, actually thinking that he was real and all that, And then of course the Transformers. All right, time's up. The Transformers, I'll call them robots, even though they could be bigger than robots. You know.
Well, they're robots in disguise, so that's cool.
Yeah, there you
Yeah, I
go.
mean
There you go.
that's a whole thing. Robots in disguise, so technically they count. I mean,
That's right.
I'm not gonna say I'm disappointed. This is your list, but Terminator should have been up there somewhere.
Oh man, I didn't think about that. Okay, there you
Yeah,
go.
so at least Terminator should have been there somewhere.
Yes, you're
Hey,
right.
But
You're
this
right.
your list. That's your
You're
list.
right.
and
You're
shout
right.
out to the 80s who decided that we're going to take R-rated movies like RoboCop and Rambo and turn them into
Turn
kids
them into kids
cartoons.
cartoons. Mm-hmm.
Shout out to
Yeah.
the 80s for that.
Yeah. No, let's not even talk about that. Let's talk about the intro to the original RoboCop cartoon where they show the kids that Alex Murphy gets shot and
Shot.
killed.
Shot. You just sitting there 8, 9, 10, like, oh, this is
Like,
cool.
Mom?
Yeah, no, it's the 80s cocaine. That's what it was, you know. Cocaine's a hell of a drug, you know.
Straight up.
Very good.
All right.
But good questions, man. That's great. I have to think
All
about that voice
Thank you.
one. Man. Yeah.
Thank
No,
you.
thank
I
you.
appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's not like Danny, he asked you, who you think is better as a president, Picard or Darth Vader or something like that.
Okay.
I get to the people. We get to what the people
That's
want to
it.
hear, what they want. Yeah.
It was theme, robot theme, man. That's what we like. Excellent.
Kyron, if you change my name before you get dog, I promise you. I promise you. It's
You
gonna be
feel it?
consequences and repercussions.
You can feel
Oh.
he could change. He's gonna change it.
Oh, I'm gonna. This is now your nickname forever and ever.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I
Yes.
refuse.
Glazed
I
honey buns
refuse.
is your nickname forever and ever.
I refuse.
But Eddie, this has been great. I wish we had more time, but
Sure.
Kevin has an appointment for his next massage. That he has
No,
to
I
get
do
to.
not. No, I do not.
So
Now, Kev,
we
let me
want-
ask you, Kev, how long will this joke last? Okay, when I'm listening to
Oh,
this
with-
show
with-
next
with-
month, am I
oh.
gonna hear this?
With Kyron and Danny, listen, they gonna roast me every time because I get on the show and I get on either Kyron or Danny. So it's going to stick with them as long as they can remember. That's what I'm. You know what, Kyron, you can have your show. I will never come on this show. Like just avoid that. And this show, Eddie, spans over 4 other shows, so that's going to get traveled out.
Right.
So
Right.
thanks, Kyron, for
Oh,
even putting it up there.
Oh,
Thank you, Alfredo. Wigglesworth.
Forever. I love it, fish.
All right. No, but we do want to make sure that people follow you, Eddie, and
Yes.
keep track with your Kickstarter. I've been putting the Kickstarter link in the chat, but it'll also be on our podcast page. But where can people maybe follow you and your quest, your Instagram, any social media that you feel like people should maybe check out?
Sure. Well, certainly Kickstarter now. Please go there and please back me. I think it's an amazing story. I think it's going to be a good change for comics in the sense that, it really does have action and all that, but it really has a real deep meaning in terms of programming and things like that. And especially, there's never really been a comic that really concentrated on the hip hop, generation and culture and what it's done for us as a whole, and I'm hoping that no one really mistakes that the impact wasn't that big, because I tell you, I mean, here in 2024, I never would have thought that it would have went this far. I mean, to think every country, all the influences, you're even hearing rap and country music, and not only that, but just the aesthetics of things and design, all influenced heavily by hip hop. And it started in '82.
Influenced K-pop like crazy.
Sure. Sure. So I think it's an important thing. So I really would appreciate everyone who backs it. And then hopefully they can back it sooner than later, so I don't keep losing this hair, because this is my first Kickstarter journey. So you guys were right, man. Every time I talk to people about what the journey would be like, it's a tough one, man. It'll test your endurance, it'll test your endurance. But I think we'll get there. I got a great group of support behind me, and we'll get there. So yes, you can catch me on the Kickstarter first and foremost, but then I have endofzed.com on my website, as well as 2 Instagram accounts, the End of Zed on Instagram, and my ZNK238, my graffiti site on Instagram. So
nice. All right. Kevin Chapman, where can people check you out?
Y'all can check me out at Afro Avenger on Instagram if you want to see some art. But if you want to see some jokes, just check me out at Kevin Chapman on Facebook. Look for the big black dude with glasses and a big beard. Or if you want to buy some books or buy my new hoodies, my nerd status hoodies that's for the winter, www.afroavenger.com. Get your hoodie, stay warm, be a nerd, be blessed, be happy, be proud. Don't believe Alfredo Wigglesworth, whoever the hell that is.
Wigglesworth.
All right, and if anybody wants to maybe check out my work, you can go to tauruscomics.com. I am on all social media platforms at Taurus Comics. And if this is your first time maybe checking out this podcast, you can go to our website. It is the fourtalespodcast.com, the number 4, TALES podcast. You can listen to our previous episodes, buy some merchandise, support us. But definitely come back next week where we are going to have Tyler James Vogel, the mind behind Comics Launch and Comics Tribe, talking about his books and the upcoming projects he has. But I do want to thank Eddie for being on, and I thank you, Kevin, for being a guest host. I won't say anything else. But until next time, everybody, sayonara, goodbye, and please take care of yourselves.
Peace.
And at afroavenger.com, get $50 massage.
I want to know what it is Quick is trying to say.